Good afternoon, students. I'm Sanmarie Steenkamp and I will be presenting the Music and Drama module. This is for the Diploma in Pre-Primary Education. Today we're going to do Unit 1 and Unit 2, and in the next session there will be Unit 3, 4 and 5 of your study guide. Okay. Unit 1 is basically just the introduction to music and drama. So we'll be looking at some basic music and drama perspectives. And Unit 2 will look at how to involve your learners in singing and playing of percussion instruments. All right, so let's take off and we look at Unit 1, the broad outline. We will see that there are 9 points under Unit 1. I will shortly discuss each point. Please make sure to have your study guide with you when you go through all of these things. All right, so we're going to go off and look at the aims of music and drama, education in a pre-primary setting. So basically, the most important thing we find here is that the musical elements are the building blocks of music, and they are interrelated in any musical activity. Interrelated means that they fit into each other or they go together with each other. However, sometimes it's useful to isolate each one and then experience them in the context of holistic listening and responding, performing and composing. So although they go together, it can be a good thing to also take these elements apart. What we'll do is we'll look at the elements now, and I'll just shortly describe what each element is. There are 9 elements, and it's important to know each and every one of them, and please make sure that you know what it means. Okay. The first one is pulse. That is the underlying throb in music. Duration is the length of music. Tempo, speed or pace of music. Pitch is the height and depth. Dynamics is the level of the sound. In other words, is it loud or soft? Structure is how a piece of music is organized. Timbre refers to the quality and variability of sound. Texture is the layers of sound. Style is the application of all other musical elements. So when you look at these terms and these elements, the words already of the element gives you a description of what it is. So use logic. When you see duration, duration is very clear. You know it has to do with length or with time. Tempo, that would be the speed. So make sure that you understand these terms, because many times one sees that a person don't understand the meaning of the element, the term, and then their answer is wrong. We move on to reasons why teach music. You will see I have adjusted the headings a little bit. It makes it easier to remember certain aspects of teaching music in pre-primary. The first point there, we see that music and fine arts has been a significant portion of every culture's educational system for more than 3,000 years. That's a very long time. If you just look at cultures, you look at people, music has always been there. It's it cannot function without music. Education without the fine arts is fundamentally impoverished and subsequently leads to an impoverished society. I'm reading the quote: "Music enhances knowledge in the areas of mathematics, science, geography, history, foreign language, physical education, and vocational training." So what we see here is when we teach music, we basically take care of the entirety of the learner in a holistic way. So music can help and assist in all levels of learning, socially, everything included. Okay. So, saying this, we can move on to the advantages of music education. This is for the learner. So music not only inspires creativity and performance, but academic performance overall is seriously impacted. And education in music also increases overall brain activity. And these things has been researched, and this is what the research found. They found that more parts of the brain is active when a learner is taking music as a subject. In other words, a learner's way of learning will improve. It develops the intelligence of the learner, and on a more behavioral approach, music can cut down on violent or inappropriate behavior in learners. So there are only advantages when you use music with your learners. Okay, move on to the aims and benefits of teaching drama. So now we did the music, we're going to move over to the drama. Remember, this is more like an introduction. So we'd look at both of these, music and drama. So in your study guide, you will see drama is described as an creative activity involving movement, language, imagination, emotion, and social interaction to represent a story, a situation, a moment, or an act. Read the sentence, see that it makes sense. In the classroom, drama activities range from simple games involving movement to an extended project culminating in public performance. So one can use drama in the class, you can use it to learn your learners a new subject. Movement is involved, language is involved, imagination is involved, emotion or expression of feelings is involved, and social interaction is involved. Okay. Aim of drama is also to provide learners with experiences in which the intellect, the emotion, the imagination, and body are all involved and developed through expression, performance, observation, and reflection. You will see that this sentence basically is the same as the previous one. So it really takes on a holistic point of view. Drama is a form of action in which some aspect of human experience is portrayed. All right, so we just move on to some theories about music therapy. This is a very small part in your study guide, but it's also very, very important. In Namibia, I think we might have one music therapist. So this is also a direction that needs a lot of development. Music therapy is, however, extremely important. It is an interpersonal process in which the therapist uses music and all of its facets, physical, emotional, mental, social, aesthetic, and spiritual, to help clients to improve or maintain their health. In some instances, the client's needs are addressed directly through music. In others, they are addressed through the relationships that develop between the client and the therapist. Music therapy is used with individuals of all ages and with a variety of conditions, which includes a very long list. You can have a look at that, see if you can relate to that, and see if you can see how music therapy can help people with this type of disorders, impairments, disabilities, and other issues. You will see the medical, the mental issues, sensory impairments. Sensory mean it works with your senses, in other words, your eyes, your ears, your hands, and so forth. Developmental disabilities, substance abuse, communication, interpersonal problems, aging, self-esteem, reducing stress. That supports physical exercise, and it facilitates a host of other health-related activities. So the uses of music therapy is extremely broad. When we look at in terms of learning, when you are studying for a subject, some of you might study easier when you listen to a certain type of music. Normally, classical music is the best way, or the best thing to listen to when you are studying for the exams. So it has a physical effect on the brain and on memory. Right. We move on to 1.3, which is the role of music and songs in people's cultures and lives. This is quite an elaborate point in your study guide. I have only taken out the most important ones. Please just read through. Make sure you understand what is going on. This subject is more about understanding, more practical application than just remembering facts. All right. So basic music making is as natural an activity as breathing and walking, and everyone participated. It is a window on the essence of human nature. The origin of music can be looked for in a natural phenomenon like the songs of birds, the whirl of the wind. So in other words, in nature, we already experience song and sounds that can go together to make music. Okay. Dance, on the other hand, is a patterned and rhythmic body movement, usually performed to music or percussion. All of you can relate to this. All of you have danced. All of you have used your bodies to keep a rhythm when you listen to music. In other words, dance is the transformation of ordinary functional and expressive movement into extraordinary movement for extraordinary purposes. And each culture tends to have their own distinctive styles of dance and reasons for dancing. I cannot think of any culture in the world that does not have their own distinct way of dancing. When you think about folk music and folk dancing. So dancing, music, telling stories, playing stories out around the campfire. This is all drama and music. We move on to African music specifically. African music involves the language, the customs and values of the society. African languages are characteristically tonal, and so the music adheres to the tonal inflection of the words. There is considerable variety in music experienced among African tribal cultures, and the singing is usually loud and enthusiastic. The music also tells us a story. This is the way that generations pass on knowledge. They pass on their culture to the next generation by using song, by using music, by using dance. Okay. There are much more in your study guide. Just read through and make sure you have a good knowledge of what African music is all about. 1.4 is the importance of music as a medium of teaching learning. All right, so now we're back in school and we're looking at music and how it can help teaching learning for your learners. So music is described as a non-verbal form of communication that convey ideas, images, and feelings through selected sounds and symbols. You will see there are certain words, certain aspects, certain terms that keeps on repeating in the study guide. Things like imagination, images, feelings, emotions, expressions. All of this is included in drama and music. Music is a source of history, reflecting the social and cultural contexts and the era of its creation. So music can be used, again, like I mentioned earlier, to tell stories, to tell about previous generations, to tell us about the history of a certain culture. Okay. It continues, and here we are moving over to a bit more looking at the learner self when you are teaching the learner. It is a kinesthetic activity. Kinesthetic means bodily. Okay, so in other words, requiring the body and the mind to coordinate and interpret simultaneous. So your body and your mind is working together when we make music. Most importantly, music as an art that combines many concepts and techniques and uses them to inspire, to imagine, to invent, and to express feeling. Again, we see express, inspire, invent, feelings, emotions. It's an active thing going on, music and drama. Lastly, music is an indispensable part of the child-centered curriculum as a special way of knowing and learning. In posing these challenges, music can contribute to the development of artistic awareness, self-expression, self-growth, self-esteem, and multicultural sensitivity, and therefore to the development of the whole child. I think with regard to living in a country like Namibia, we are very fortunate that we are a multicultural country because we are privileged enough to learn about many other cultures and their histories through song, through dance. So I think we should be grateful that we have that opportunity. Other countries might only have one language and one history. So remember that we are privileged in that way. When we look at other contributions and benefits of music, we see that it has a personal, social, mental, physical development of the child that's all included when we use music. We can improve speech development, language development, development of listening skills, development of both long-term and short-term memory, and the development of imagination. Just reading this, you can already see how it can help, how it can benefit the learner. All right, speech development. If we are small and we learn a song, we learn the words. We might not understand the words in the beginning, but as time goes by, we learn what it means. We have to listen in order to learn the song. Many of you will probably, with the short and long-term memory, I'm sure you can all relate to that. When there's a certain song playing on the radio, you might have a memory of something that happened in the time that you listened to that song. Maybe a few years ago, maybe a few days ago. In other words, the memory is associated with a specific song. Okay. 1.5, we look at some principles that underpin drama performance. So again, we ask the question, why should we teach drama? Drama has an important role to play in the personal development of our learners. The skills and qualities developed by learners in drama, such as teamwork, creativity, leadership, and risk-taking, are assets in all subjects and all areas of life. Drama stimulates the imagination and allows learners to explore issues and experiences in a safe and supportive environment. It is also vital to create an atmosphere of security, trust, and concentration. Drama can promote self-esteem, and it's about social and communication skills and having fun. All right, so overall, when we look at the reasons for teaching drama, it's very difficult to find disadvantages of teaching drama. It can allow learners to express certain feelings that they have, which they are not allowed to express in a different situation. We can even go over to the therapeutic advantages of drama. And of course here, when you are the teacher, it is vital to create an atmosphere of security, trust, and concentration. By observing your learner, you can see what are those issues that might be troubling a learner, or what are the issues that really interest them. Okay, so much like music, drama can also be used for the learner to grow on all levels. Okay, we're moving over to the principles of drama specifically. And please make sure that you understand when we talk about principles of drama, what exactly the question is asking, especially in your assignments. I see people get confused. Make sure that you know what the question is, all right, or what the question is asking. So basically, drama relies on two important principles. To have a good drama or film, you have to have a character, which is called the protagonist, and this actor or character will take an action to achieve something. Okay, but he has to be met by a conflict. If you think about any movie or any story that you have watched, there's always a main character who has to overcome something, some conflict, some challenge. And after that conflict has been overcome, then we have the happy ending most of the time. This level of conflict or challenge can be subtle or it can be strong, but it must be apparent. The viewer has to be able to figure out what is the conflict that the character has. All right. In films and stories, if we don't have these two basic important rules, then the movie or the drama will not work. People might become bored or they won't watch the movie. The conflict is there to build the tension, and it keeps the audience's interest and makes them wonder what is happening next. So there is some level of anticipation that needs to be created. All right. We continue. Film, as with theatre and music, tells a story within a precise time span. Okay, so the movie is taking place either in modern day, it can take place in the future, it can take place in the past. So there must be a certain time span linked to the movie. The audience must be able to process the information and make meaningful connections to understand it. This is not an easy task for screenwriters because they have to try and externalize what the characters feel and think. And to do that, it takes a lot of talent. It's not an easy task because you have to guess how will the audience react when I have my actor do this. Will I give enough clues on what might be coming next? In other words, screenwriters use specific actions growing out of the character's wants, needs, and objectives to keep the audience clued in on the storyline, also called the plot. All right. Moving on to the application of music in sport and advertising. The uses of music in sport, specifically you looking at sport now. You'll see in the study guide, they say that music at sporting events is a practice that is thousands of years old. Take these things that you read and apply it to your daily experiences. Think about when you watch a soccer game. People in the crowd, they are singing, they are cheering. So music is there. In between, they play songs over the microphones. The songs make people happy. It builds up the energy of the fans. In the age of technological gadgets, music has become more than just background noise at a party. MP3 players and music downloading sites such as iTunes have made music a part of people's everyday routine. Okay. We continue, and we see that studies has been conducted and a lot of research has gone into music. They have determined that music has a great impact on the performance level of an athlete. And here it's important that the correct type of music can heighten an athlete's performance by up to 20%. Just thinking on a logical level, when they talk about correct type of music, we'll talk about genres in a moment. But if you have to listen to punk rock or heavy metal when you have to practice as an athlete, I think the chances of you performing better might not be 20%. So the right type of music needs to be used. There are 4 main components to the effects of music on an athlete. The first one is that it can distract the athlete from fatigue. So in other words, it gives them more energy. It can act as a mood-altering catalyst. We all know that music are directly connected to emotion and feelings. So in other words, I might be feeling down, and then suddenly I listen to a piece of music that makes me happy, and I start singing along, and my mood is altered. So, yeah, I feel better. Synchronize an athlete's rhythm and movement. Synchronizing means that 2 or more things are working together. So what happens here is the rhythm of the music can help the athlete with their movement. So rhythm and movement goes together, it's synchronized. Music can also act as a trigger for learning certain motions and aid with muscle memory. Here again, we link music with memory. So it could be that an athlete does a certain exercise with a certain song. In other words, the associations take place. When they hear a certain song, they think about a certain action, or even their bodies, like they call it here, memory, muscle memory, will remember what motions should take place. Okay. All right. When we look at the application of music in sport and advertising, we look at specifically the use of music in advertising now. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 specific. Sorry, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. Music is used in advertising to create the following. It's used for entertainment. In other words, music can make advertising more attractive. If you struggle to understand this one, put your TV on mute the next time you watch an advert, and you will see that you quickly lose interest. Okay, so the music gives the advertisement more power, more attention. Structure and continuity. Music effectively contributes to the advertisement story in a matter of 30 seconds. Okay. Memorability. Music increases a product's recall. Lyrical language. Music conveys a message in a non-spoken way. Targeting. Music effectively targets the intended audience. And authority establishment. Music gives a general appeal to its target audience. This is a huge part of advertising and music. Many studies has been done. I'm going to give you an example of, shall I take Black Label, a beer ad. We see happy young people, rich people. Maybe I shouldn't use Black Label. Maybe I can just use any other product. Most of the time it's young people, it's happy people, nice music playing. It shows rich people. It's not always the precise way that things are in reality, but that's how advertising work. They are giving us an image, and that's the thing that attracts us. It's entertaining.